First of all, a round of applause for our Arizona NORML board with us tonight. And yeah, they're the magic that makes all of this happen. Let me see if I can do this in no particular order. I've got Ryan Wilson, I have got Todd, I have got John, I have got Maggie Jane, I have got Janae, I have got Allison. Who have I missed? The other slackers that couldn't be with us tonight. So, what's that? Oh yeah, oh my goodness. Well, we can't not talk about Nick Fredrickson. Thank you so much, Nick, for being on out here. You're incredible. So the run of show tonight, if you have a piece of paper in front of you, my task for you while you're listening to the first part of the program is to dream big. We're going to be talking about what changes we want to see on a legislative level for cannabis in Arizona. So that is your note sheet. That is also for folks who just don't like talking out loud, because we see you, we want your input too. And if you don't feel comfortable shouting things up here at Maggie Jane when it comes time for that part of the program, we want to make sure that you have a way to contribute as well. So if you don't have some paper, grab some. And with that, I'm going to pass it off first to Todd. You ready?
Yeah.
For our national news and update.
Okay, does this thing work?
Yeah. Well, and do you want me to move it from? Oh, there. Oh, look at.
Okay.
Wow, NORML. How professional.
There we go. Okay, the first update I got is a review. Cannabinoids support a healthy aging and enhance quality of life in older populations. So it's based on a study from Cambridge in the UK, and reported findings that the cannabinoids CBD and THC in particular. So THC enhances memory, reduces inflammation, and offers neuroprotection, while CBD extends lifespan, improves motility, and promotes autophagy in preclinical models, the investigators reported. Second update I got for you today is Michigan. The lawmakers approved a tax hike, which is despite significant pushback from us and other advocates. The amount that they passed, which will be implemented on January 1st of 26, is 24% on top of already 10 and 6. So it's going to be a total of 40% in Michigan. So
Whoa.
You're going to go see your Wolverines play Michigan State, you're going to be paying 40% on top of it.
Go Irish.
Hey, yeah. One of the state's largest cannabis trade associations, like Armida, is considering suing the state over the proposal. And then it says there's an estimated 40,000 Michiganders work in the cannabis industry. Do you know how many work in our cannabis industry in Arizona?
Ooh, no, I don't.
That would be a good topic for me to find out for next month. Okay, next, there's not that many updates. So the next one is another trial. Cannabis extract demonstrates superiority over opioids for back pain. So this one was from, again, this wasn't even from the U.S. because we don't do very many studies lately here, but this one was from Germany. And they did THC and standardized percentages of CBD and CBG. And it came out to be where 2.33 points reduction versus a 1.89 reduction for the opioid group. So, and they didn't get constipated as much, and they could sleep, and they slept a lot better. So I thought that was kind of cool.
18,647 DA or agents.
Oh.
Nice.
Let's get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Save me some work for next week. All right, we still have 30 million arrests in the U.S. and counting. So that's about one arrest every 2 minutes.
600 a day.
So, and then some of the latest stuff is some jurisdictions like Idaho, lawmakers are reimposing harsh criminal penalties even for low-level marijuana violators. Texas legislators are using the courts to strike down decriminalization ordinances, leading to thousands of senseless arrests. And in states like Ohio, lawmakers are seeking to recriminalize marijuana-related activities either by rolling back voter-approved legislative laws or by imposing arbitrary bans on the types of cannabis products permissible under the law. So chip in for NORML. We're trying to fight all that stuff for you guys. Okay. California governor signs legislation halting a tax hike. So he stopped the tax hike, and NORML was a big part of that. They took leadership in the sponsoring of that bill. California is already heavily overtaxed relative to comparable products like beer, wine, and tobacco in California. In Minnesota, retailers began adult use cannabis sales, and more than half of the U.S. population now resides in cannabis selling jurisdiction. So that's all I got for today. Okay.
All right, give it up for Todd. Thank you so much.
There you go.
All right, next we are passing it off to Allison for your events update and your DCS update, which is pretty huge this time. Oh, we'll tag team DCS. Here you go.
Hi. We have Earl Cup coming up on the 18th of October. And we have, what else?
What is 18th?
Earl Cup?
Okay.
Like, you're supposed to be helping
I'll
me
be
with
there.
that.
I'll be there.
And we have Mita at a new venue coming up. There's a lot of other events coming up, but we're not going to be at those, so I don't have them mentally in my head. If anybody else has any events that they'd like to share off the top of their head. Okay. DCS.
Yeah. All right. Tag team a DCS update.
Yes.
You want to go? You want to start us off?
All right. In 2024, Senator Gowan passed a bill to take people off the Central Registry. The Central Registry is a place where bad parents go for 25 years, which makes it so that you cannot work with vulnerable human beings. That is elderly, disabled, and children. Up until now, you're stuck on that list for 25 years, regardless of if you just use marijuana or if you seriously injured your child. So Gowan came up with a tiered central registry, and a way to remove people from the central registry. DCS was late on coming up with the rules for that. And that is where I will turn it over to Julie.
All right.
Yes. Wait, hang on. Do you have the other? Where's the other mic? Okay, here we go. Yeah, and this is actually kind of I have 3 microphones on me. All right, you're getting way too much, Julie. And this is where it gets really weird. They were supposed to create these rules by September 15th to start removing parents. They didn't even bother publishing a draft until September 12th. If you're wondering how lawless your own government is, well, there you go right there. If you are at all interested in cannabis, especially cannabis during pregnancy and how it interacts with the family policing system, Allison is the woman to see. We are assembling a task force to comment at the public hearing, which will be held on October 15th. It's being held on Microsoft Teams, so it's accessible all over the state. And you know, from your office, as long as you got Wi-Fi, you can log on in and comment. And if you want to be part of that effort to hopefully make these rules as good as they can be, to help remove people. NORML was really instrumental in a fight. Instrumental in a fight to get Lindsay Ridgel off the Central Neglect Registry. She was a mama who had a very severe form of nausea during pregnancy. And when traditional pharmaceuticals would not touch what she did is she went to her doctor, got a recommendation for cannabis, ended up having a healthy baby boy. And when that baby was born, they wanted to place her on the Central Neglect Registry for 25 years. We fought it all the way up to the Arizona Supreme Court, and we won, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But now we have 1,400 other parents who've been placed on the Central Neglect Registry for the same thing. So this is how they get relief. This is how we can do the restorative justice thing that we're always talking about making it right. This is a small step forward. So that's it. That's your DCS update. All right, I'm not going to pretend that I am the main event for this evening, but I wanted to level set for what we're going to do next because this is my favorite part of the entire friggin' year, guys. We're going to have a great time. Let's talk about how badly Arizona consumers got screwed this last legislative session and exactly why. So this last legislative session was the worst since I have gotten involved with marijuana politics, so over the last 5 years. And consumers get screwed in a whole bunch of different ways. One way is their bills never even get introduced. So this last legislative session, a lot of good ideas that we've been pushing for years, things like farmers market, micro cultivation licenses, getting autism as a condition for which you can get a med card, reducing the fees for med card holders. All of those good ideas never even got introduced into a bill. So one of the reasons why we do this evening is so that we can strategize how much political capital we can put behind which issues and what is most important to the community. Because we don't want to be spending our time on something that's not ultimately important and impactful to you. So that's one of the reasons why we do this. The other reason why we do this is that you can see your ideas end up into law. One of the things that NORML does pretty well is get legislation over the finish line. This last legislative session was an exception to that, and we saw really good bills fail. We saw the research bill fail. One of the things that happened back in 2021 was they came and they raided your money. If you were a med card holder back in 2021, that fund was flush with cash, and AZDHS ran a bill that gave around $30 million out to every cause you can imagine except marijuana research that would impact consumers. They literally were expunging the student loans of rural psychiatrists before they could fund research. And what we got out of that deal was a promise that $5 million a year would be set aside for research over 5 years, so $25 million. AZDHS said, yeah, but your bill only said may, it didn't say must. So we're not actually going to spend more than $1 million of that dollars. Yeah, your jaws on the floor. Mine was too. That is all consumers got out of that massive raid. So this last session, there was a bill that was run that said AZDHS must make these grants. It failed spectacularly on the floor of the House. That's one of the reasons why we do this, so that we can all strategize together what solidarity looks like going forward. We also saw other really important initiatives fail. We saw the rural initiative, which would have helped these smaller towns where dispensaries are moving out. They're moving toward more profitable areas, leaving areas, whatever the opposite of high and dry is. And we thought, hey, wouldn't it be more fair if those towns could apply for their licenses and opt in? And the legislature said no. The other thing that we do well as Arizona NORML is we kill bad ideas. And we killed a lot of bad ideas this last session. I'm sorry, and hang on. We got to go back to one more good idea that failed, because Tim Sparling, who's been friggin' heroic down there as our lobbyist. Thank you, Tim. One more package of really good bills failed, and that was the hemp legislation. Of course, we're really worried about what we're seeing. The largest recriminalization of the plant in Arizona history happened in March this year at the hands of our Democratic Attorney General. And when she decided that all hemp-derived cannabinoids would be considered narcotics under Arizona law, placed a lot of people's lives and livelihoods in legal jeopardy. Tim worked tirelessly to pass inclusive hemp legislation that would have left no hemp cultivator and manufacturer and seller behind, and would have put in reasonable regulations around it. And ultimately, despite all of his hard work, that didn't go anywhere either. But thank you for your work, Tim. You friggin' kicked ass. A little update of what we were able to kill and kill successfully. There's two things that were incredibly important that we were able to kill because of the people who are in this yard right now. One was getting a good amendment to the advertising bill. one of the things that the industry loves to do is they love to introduce a bill that appeals to the social conservatives down at the Arizona legislature, but conveniently gives them an increased monopoly. What that looked like this last session was introducing an advertising bill that would say, hey, if you want to advertise any cannabinoid, you have to have a marijuana license, a dispensary license, which, oh, by the way, costs between $10 and $20 million. It would have also made it so anyone advertising paraphernalia of any kind, so our rolling papers, our glass folks, like all of them would have had to get permission from a dispensary to advertise. Otherwise, they would have been put out of business. We were able to successfully hold that bill up and get necessary amendments so that it didn't do that much harm to the industry. And that was because of the folks right here in this yard. In fact, Jason was down there testifying for your first time. Is that right? Incredible. We want to see more of that. And also round of applause for Jason because that was amazing, sir. Thank you for doing that.
I mean, honestly, I had to, right? Like you said, it was gonna hurt my business, my small business. They wanted to own paraphernalia rights, which is wild. And so, yeah, I really didn't have a choice, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you also got to, and you told me this morning, you got to witness firsthand how the people that we elect laugh at cannabis consumers down at the legislature and the level of disrespect that we're treated with sometimes. So again, that's why we do this exercise, so that we can know where to spend our political capital and ultimately invest in people who are going to do right by cannabis consumers so that we can get to the 3/4 that we need typically to pass any good legislation. Last thing that we defeated, and then we'll go into this exercise, I want you to know about SB 1299. It was a bill that was introduced as a striker at the 11th hour. And what it would have done is take a giant chunk of the Prop 207 money, that giant excise tax that you pay if you're not a cardholder. The largest share of that tax goes to community colleges, as it should. That's what the voters wanted. What this bill would have done was flip-flop that so that the largest share went to law enforcement to go after what they deem as the illicit market. And primarily that would have looked like folks that were selling otherwise federally legal hemp and folks in the marijuana space. And we were able to kill that and make sure that the legislature heard loud and clear that we do not want any more money going to criminalizing the plant. And so now is the part of the program where you tell us what you want to see. As you see, we have a giant friggin' team here. We actually maybe have as many people in this yard as there are dispensary lobbyists down at the Capitol. You may be giggling, but that's John, is that just about right? Like, it feels like there's so... Right?
It depends on the day.
They have an army, but we have more. So what we're going to do next is, if you don't feel comfortable talking, feel free to write it down, and we'll put it up on the board. But Maggie Jane is going to be our scribe for this evening, and we're going to start our long list of what we want to see for legislation going forward. Can I pass around both mics? Is that what? Clip it onto the top. Is that? At the bottom? I don't know. Yeah. Because we want to capture your feedback up here. All right, we good? Yeah. Are you okay if I go around? All right, who is brave enough among us to go first? Who is foolish among us to go first? What's that? What's that?
Limited licenses.
Limited license. Wait, hang on. What do you mean?
For like smaller grows and all that.
There we go. Okay, so micro licenses? Yeah, micro licenses. Excellent. Yeah? Do you want me to hold?
Let's do a new hemp initiative that contains the cannabinoids that they say they need a license for, and do an absurd amount of licenses that constantly expand once they get sold out. Also put on it a decriminalization for unlimited amount weightage.
Let's remove it from the felonies.
Nice.
Because the hemp will turn into flower, which can be seen as cannabis by their scientists because they look at it under a microscope. Oh, it got trichomes. It has the qualities of a cannabis plant. Therefore, it's cannabis. It's not hemp. So
hemp initiative and eliminating the weight limit.
eliminating
The personal
wait,
possession limit.
Well, no. Removing it from the felony completely. Unlimited weight. Then include the cannabis compounds to be sold in retail outlets that are produced from hemp. Human consumption law for hemp products.
Nice. Hey Todd, can I borrow you? Can you hold this? Thank you, thank you, thank you. First of all, can everybody hear that? Like when you're talking up to, could you hear half of what was proposed? Yeah, well, scooch on forward. Come on, we don't bite very hard. But also what was said was that we need to run another hemp initiative and that that part of that needs to be where hemp for human consumption can be sold, and then eliminating completely the felony restrictions.
And then what about industrial hemp that's non-cannabinoid, that's more fiber and herd based hemp?
Yeah, what needs to happen on the fiber front?
Just a separation from that and the cannabinoids.
Oh,
Yeah.
It'd be nice to increase it from 0.03 or 0.3% to 1% THC for the state of Arizona.
Yeah.
Got it. And for what it's worth, as it stands right now, the way the margin of error works, it is 1%. We say that it's 0.3 on a dry weight basis, but like we can get up to that and still be within. Well, but also it's all dependent on what Chris Mays says.
Based on whatever ingredients it's mixed with. Therefore, if it's over that 0.3%, and you got all these mixed ingredients with it, making it the full dry weight.
Yeah.
Edibles.
Are you okay if I put that as the source rule? Because that's essentially what we're talking about when we say source rule, right? Like if it starts out as industrial hemp and it goes into XYZ beverage or edible, as long as it starts as industrial hemp and the final product is below 0.3%, it's still industrial hemp. No? Who else wants? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out.
So one of the, my name's Ari Bradshaw. I'm one of the, my name's Ari Bradshaw. I'm one of the candidates actually for legislature up in North Phoenix. And so I've been working on some legislation with some of the current representatives. One of the ones which I'm really trying to get through, and hopefully we can go work with NORML on this and make sure that we, enhance consumer rights for cannabis. Last year we passed a bill which makes it so that if you're between the ages of 18 and 21 and you have a med card, you can no longer purchase tobacco products, meaning pipes, bongs, etc., therefore forcing our medical community into concentrate and gummies and stuff like that. We need to fix this. We need to make sure that there's an exception so that if you're between 18 and 21 and you have a med card, you can buy tobacco products, because right now we're harming a lot of our younger cannabis medical users. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully we'll get that passed next year. I'm already working with the sponsor of last year's bill and he's willing to go work with me to go change it and fix things in the future.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hey, do you want a little bit of time at the end of our program? We normally let candidates go at the very. All right, perfect. Who else? Mike?
This is a question.
Oh, we got a question. All right. Clarity on 420 events. Did the laws change? And you mean in terms of things like charging admission fees, where they can be held, Smoke-Free Arizona Act, the whole shebang?
Can anybody just have a 420 event?
Yeah.
As long as we throw events ourselves, as long as you have the proper permits and the house has, it depends on the situation. If it's a place like Jason has his own lounge, yeah, you can go through it as long as you people.
But I mean, there's going to be people that are plugged. There's going to be people selling.
Well, no. See,
the
way we throw our events is 100%.
Yeah, that's fine. But some places they do.
Yes, they do.
So what I'm looking at is, I don't have a card anymore, but I don't think I would get in trouble, because it's not like I'm going to buy 10 pounds of cannabis at one
You
time.
should be able to buy good cannabis. Actually,
Right.
there's better weed off the market than there is.
That's what I'm wondering. What happened?
That's what it needs to get. That'd be the good, like, actually allowed to buy smaller percentages, especially if you can, like the micro grows, if you get that going, and that's where you can go through, because it gives them an outlet to go sell places going off where they can't get the dispensaries, where you don't have that big outreach, or even have the millions of dollars to get on shelves, where you can get your crew of, hey, I know 12 people that want to buy my weed going off, as long as you're not going overboard. I think that would be a good thing. Like I said, people who grow their own weed would love this growing way better stuff than coming out of dispensaries.
Can everybody hear this conversation? Not even close. All right. Yeah. Can you put on there that I heard another plug for micro licenses, micro grow, and kind of a more farmers market model? Do I have that right?
Farmer market.
Yeah. All right. Everybody wants farmers market. All right. Anybody? Who else wants the mic?
Real quick, I can speak on the
Yeah.
events too a little bit. Because like having the lounge, I've had to go through with a lot of the brands out here and work with them on how, they are legally able to come smoke out the community. I think that the reason, this is just kind of, my speculation, but I think the reason that you're seeing kickbacks and events change up a lot is because AZDHS is applying a lot of pressure on the logs where the cannabis is getting out, and then you look at it as from a dispensary standpoint, we're probably having the most events we've ever had in our history of Arizona Cannabis, right? Like we think back in the days when Earl Cup was like the originator. Shout out to the Earl Cup for like really like pulling it down, right? Exactly. And so now you think about today, and you can damn near every weekend you're going out to a different cannabis event, right? So I think that they're looking at it almost like, what's going on with it? Where's the weed coming from? So I think that's a little bit of the ripple effect that I've dealt with, because I personally had to go through it with AZDHS. And two brands where AZDHS came and put pressure on them because of an event at the High Lounge. It'll be on their AZ Care Check. You'll be able to see that. I'll go down. So there's something going on with all of that, and maybe that's something that we could consider is like, because I think brands would really appreciate it. I think it's not the brands that are halting back on these events and coming out and lacing them, right? Like we used to get like lots of gifts on these events, and it's all kind of like changed because they're requiring them to come out and you have to legally take your allotment out. So in order for them to come out with a lot of weed now, they've got to have 8, 10, 20 people to go into a dispensary now and get that allotment out. And so it's just changed. And so maybe that is something that, we can introduce, and it would help brands that don't have that ability, like a larger, dispensary does, like, to help supply our consumers with some options and to keep these small, brands alive. So, but that's kind of just a little bit of insight from what I've dealt with at the lounge and stuff like that. I appreciate you allowing me to.
That's like event licensing maybe, and
Yeah,
regulation.
something like that.
They don't have to,
Oh, yeah.
burn it and like it's disposed, and I know there's the issues you were talking about there.
Yep. Dope.
You see people posting pictures and they have way over their allotment that they're posting, which is an issue. And that's where the issue is, because they're posting, and in one event you got way over your daily allotment. So that's where I think the problem is coming, because there is a law on the allotment, but these events are giving people way over their allotment. So I think that's where the issue is right there. Because, people are posting their pictures, and that hurts.
Why are we charging for anything other than THC when?
2.5 ounces, it's a felony in the state of Arizona.
But why are we charging for anything other than THC when amounts incidental to use is not supposed to be counted?
Yeah. Amen to that. Wait, did everybody hear? No. Can you say it louder?
Why is anything other than THC counted for when anything incidental to use is not supposed to be counted towards weight? When I buy a concentrate when anybody buys a concentrate, a gram of concentrate, you get charged a gram of concentrate, not the amount of product that was used to make the concentrate.
Good, they don't know.
That's the way it was initially, where you would get a gram and they would charge 7 grams off your allotment.
Mhm.
So,
That was like right after Jones.
yeah.
It's still written that way, and they never changed it.
No,
Mhm.
it's just ACDHS never took a stance. I was writing around, like heavily writing around that time, and I kept trying to get ACDHS.
Here, give Allison 5 minutes on AZDHS.
That happened around the Jones case's time, and AZDHS refused to take a stance on it. I was bugging the executive director of the ADA at the time, which was Tim Sultan, to give me a stance. And then we went into 207 and everybody just kind of forgot about it. And 207 dealt with the concentrate allotment. You can buy 5 grams under rec. So it dealt with that and just kind of left it open for med. And I guess that just appeased DCS. Or not DCS, AZDC, DHS. Thanks.
And on the DHS issue, I want to, we're reading all your comments and getting them up on the board too. I want to shout out this one in particular, which testing has come up year after year and how profoundly broken our testing program is. So testing expanded to quantify contaminants and also the THC and CBD ratio. A public notification of mold and health violations, which we currently don't get at all, unless there's a violation that actually goes through enforcement, which we don't typically see. And then a more thorough listing of all of the ingredients in edibles and prepared products. I hear chatter in the back. Would you like the mic? Huh?
I was just agreeing, every time you do hear about something being contaminated, it's so far after.
Pass it on back.
I'm just saying, when you do hear about something being bad or having issues or whatever, they announce it so far afterwards that everybody already consumed all of the product that had the bad issue, and it's it's being recalled. It's well, it's gone. It was gone 2 months ago. What are you talking about?
If you're sitting on that,
So
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. For what it's worth, we NORML ran a testing bill that John authored a while back that would have allowed for secret shoppers, mandatory notification of any failed test to AZDHS, so that, because right now we're not convinced we're getting all of the fails correct, and would have allowed for the keeping of the sample, the video of it. Right now it's only required that you keep the video for 30 days. And who's buying a right?
On top of that, third-party sampling, because right now the way it works is that the business the person who's doing the growing and will benefit from a high test result for THC and no contaminants, they're the ones that choose the sample. And so there's supposed to be a representative sample that's taken of the entire plant. Mm-hmm. Folks that do home grow, right, if you've probably seen this yourself, the buds at the top are a little bit different than the buds at the bottom. So you've got an incentive to clip the top buds. We hear some stories, too, from time to time about people sprinkling THCA or keef or whatever on top of that sample to dust it and juice the test results even more. So there's no doubt there's a lot of issues when it comes to testing. Third-party sampling would be a big step, I think, in the right direction. And then storing all of that, the video footage. Because right now there's a testing issue that comes up. Maybe it's a sampling problem. If you were to report that to DHS and they do an investigation, they're required to businesses are required to keep that footage for 30 days. And so, as we all know, it's typically more than 30 days from the time that stuff gets harvested and sampled until it's sold in a shelf. So by the time you buy it, the video footage is already deleted. There's no way to have an investigation. So, surprise, they don't investigate and people don't get punished, which is obviously a big problem.
So basically like having a third-party person added to their already implemented things. They just have it
That's right. So, yeah, for example, you could have a laboratory that would send somebody out to do the sample itself. You could have another sampling company, so a different classification, not just laboratories, but also samplers that are a separate business and go out and do the sampling. It's done that way in a lot of different states. I think California does that. I think that Michigan does that too. So there's a lot of precedent for it, and for good reason, right? Would you trust the fox to guard the hen house? I mean, we don't do that usually.
Yeah.
Earl Cup used to do that.
Thank you. And can I spill the beans on what NORML's doing on testing? Are we good on this? One of the things that you're going to see in the next week or so coming out of the Arizona NORML page is we are trying to collect as many of these failed QR codes as possible. You may have experienced this recently. You buy something and you go to scan the QR code and it's a QR code that leads absolutely nowhere. It's becoming increasingly common, and we want to be able to have the ammunition we need to run a good testing bill. We want you to do a little bit of homework for us and scan the last 5 things that you purchased. Let us know if any of those QR codes go nowhere. And that'll be launching out of our Instagram in the next week. I'm going to pass the mic in 1 second, but I wanted to give a shout out to the person who says making testing of cannabis easier for home growers. Amen. Something that Arizona NORML can really help facilitate. Would love to see cannabis descheduled. Yeah, you and me too. We are looking more federally as well, because as things pick up, we do have an outsized voice here in Arizona, given how purplish that we are, to influence the direction of federal legislation. And then last, for home growers, the limit of plants should be for each MMJ cardholder and not a household limit, but each cardholder should be able to grow to their own limit. And increase for cardholders, and frankly, beefing up the caregiver program is something that we have our eyes on as well. Who would like to go next? Yeah, have at it.
I mean, it's like everything Julie just said, but I think like a patient's bill of rights, or like something specific for medical patients. Yeah. I mean, it's a complicated idea, but some sort of like distinction and realization of like medical patients, their needs. I also think that like maybe all licenses should charge medical patients the same tax. I don't even care as much about the allotment, but the fact that medical patients can't go, there's certain counties where like there's no medical licenses anymore, and there's certain dispensaries that just they only engage in recreational sales, and I don't know, I don't think that's right. Rec only dispensaries shouldn't exist.
A question and comment in this next one, which is how can we form the legislature? I think it's force the legislature to make the taxes go to schools instead of to law enforcement. I'm assuming on 207. Yeah, I mean, round of applause for that. But also, just to add a little bit of clarity, when it comes to marijuana, we're in a very different field than almost everything else at the legislature. And that's because back when voters originally said, back in 1996, heck yeah, we want med, and the governor and the legislature vetoed it, what happened next is the voters put in the Voter Protection Act. And what the Voter Protection Act says is that if it's passed through an initiative, anything that you do to alter that initiative needs to, 1, further the purpose of the original initiative, and 2, it needs to be passed by a 3/4 majority. So it's what makes marijuana politics so fun, because it has to be profoundly bipartisan, but it's also what makes it so stinking difficult, because what other area of law can you think of where you need to get 75% of the legislature to agree on anything? It does. It also protects us a lot.
There would have been a lot of bad ideas that would have passed if we didn't have the VPA. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it makes it harder for us to pass good things, but it also stops a lot of bad things.
Amen. All right. The next one that's coming out of these says better treatment for bud tenders. Labor's in the house tonight, guys. Like, yeah. We've got your back, Nick. All right, who's next?
On the topic of labor and safety for consumers, we're seeing an increase of temp workers right now in grow houses. This is very unsafe for consumers, because something that we really rely on in these grows is for workers to have a voice and to be able to speak up when things are wrong, and to not be brushed away or fired for speaking up. So, with this increase in temp workers, we can definitely expect that marijuana for the consumer will be less safe. So, maybe a limitation or some type of oversight on when places are using temp workers instead of full-time workers, which should be the standard. People that have a voice and that have the ability to speak up when things are wrong.
Nice. How would you feel about actual real whistleblower protections?
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, right? Next up from these, I will pass it to you back, is to lower the price of the medical card. Amen. Did want to flag this all for you if you don't know this amusing story from marijuana politics. We had a clean lower the med card bill that was, what was it, 2 sessions ago? And it would have made it free for anyone for vets. And it would have reduced the card to $50 for 2 years. It was a really, really good bill. We were promised left, right, and center from the industry that they would not touch it or amend it. And can you imagine what happened at the 11th hour when they wanted to criminalize hemp again? They amended our bill and we had to kill the good MedCard bill. That is very much on our radar. Other thing that's on our radar that you might not know about is the Naturopath Board is making it more difficult for people to get cards. AZ/DHS made it so that you could do telehealth so that doctors could reach all areas of the state. Naturopathic Board came in and said, we're just not going to follow that, and we're going to cite any naturopath that does telehealth certifications. So we are on it. Also, increase the allotted 2-week amount. I think we got up there. More research. Maggie Jane's all over this. And then fix the rules about parents. We are on it. Thank you for whomever left the illustration. Headed your way.
I think that most patients, we're isolated. And thank God we have NORML. But most patients are isolated. They're home, doing their medicine, trying to get through their daily life, right? I think that the state should actually help those people. There's millions and millions of dollars are put into their coffers that they do whatever they want. I think they should actually pay for all us to get our cards. And people who can't afford their medicine, which is they should have a system where the state pays for their medicine. I mean, the state pays for your food if you're indigent. The state gives you food stamps. The state gives you housing, hopefully, if you really need it. And that's like, oh, that's terrible. And if you're homeless, you can get your card, but how do you get medicine? I can't, it's so hard to understand that people with cancer who are sitting at home pretty much by themselves, they need help. I mean, that's how I'm glad you can get delivery, but if you don't have the money, what's good delivery?
Yeah.
You know? So that's my thing about.
Thank you for that.
I'll build on that. Strengthen
coverage.
Caregivers for those people. You're not, which requires getting rid of the 25-mile rule. No 25-mile rule. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, can you add that to the list? Get rid of the 25-mile rule. But does everybody know the 25-mile rule that Allison's talking about? Okay.
And so yeah, strengthen caregivers, and then collective grows for people that live in apartments. A lot of you're going to get evicted for growing marijuana. So make it so that people can do collective grows, like in warehouses or somewhere. Yeah.
Nice. Can we add, would you feel comfortable with putting that all under tenant protections? Because we don't have cultivation tenant. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's like double the space.
Oh yeah, and they have backsides too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You good to keeping up? I know, right? Yeah. I'm telling you, this is the best meeting in town. All right, what else I got in the giant?
This is the most members that have ever been at a NORML meeting, and it's the best.
I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy. Allison, thanks for making me come.
I know Maggie Jane is writing her hand off. One of the other suggestions is 18 to 21 protections, because that is a really big issue right now. QR codes from the state to create a database. academic access for clinicians and registered patients, and researchers are able to find labs with issues with data, and that's huge. Can I lump that? I don't know who wrote this, but whomever, can I lump that last part under like more research and we need to fix the testing program? Okay.
Well, it's all interrelated anyway.
Right?
You know, testing, that's the center, and then everything else comes around that. And if you don't have a season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this is if you don't have testing, which is the center, because everything else should surround it, from the end product all the way back to the grow. It should be all going to the center, which is testing. Okay, if I have a giant grow, and unfortunately I got a little mold maybe, and when I pass it in, I want to know that my product's not going to harm anybody. That's important to me as a person, first of all. Not that that matters to a lot of people, but the testing makes your product better. If you can, I used to buy cannabis for a dispensary in California. And what I would do is have the people come in and have a show and tell. I'd go in and close my eyes and grab a nug and pull it out. I put it under a microscope right in front of them. They're like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" I was like, "Just come here. I'm going to teach you something." Okay, that's bug poop. Okay, that's mold. This is not medical cannabis. But you grow better product, you bring it back to me, and I look at it again, I'll buy all your product. It's just you got to hit the points, and this is years ago. This is 20 years ago now. You got to hit the points for medicine. It's got to be medicine. Yeah, people who drink tea, regular herbal tea, you don't want shit in your tea. You don't want bug shit. That's gross, right? Same with your cannabis. It should be the same thing. That's not taught to the growers. You know, how do you make your product better? How do you don't get bugs and, don't be sloppy, all that other rules of growing that you should follow so that your product becomes medically acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, people just grow the way they grow, and they don't give a shit about the end product.
Amen.
Yeah. So.
Thank you. All right. And we're at more or less 8 o'clock. So if there are any other genius ideas, or frankly, any of your bad ideas, we want them too, that didn't get heard tonight, what our task is over the next several weeks is to take everything that we've talked about tonight and to sort it, to figure out what goes with which idea. Could we run a med bill that fixes testing? Could we run a consumer decrim bill? Could we run, you get the idea, and then figure out where we want to spend what is essentially limited political capital down at the legislature. Then our homework for you will be, did we get it right? Because we're going to take this legislative agenda back to you to make sure that you approve and that you buy in, because more than anything, we need your help to get anything done down at that legislature. We need you at lobby week. We need you contacting your legislators. We need you to log in on RTS. And if those are all foreign concepts, don't worry. We're going to explain it to you too. So I want to thank you so much for being here tonight, but because we always give space, especially for folks who want to represent cannabis consumers down at the state legislature, we're going to give Ari Bradshaw our final 3 minutes of the night. Sir, the mic is yours. Have at it.
Thank you, Julie. Congratulations on becoming the new NORML chair. I'm really excited for this next year, and yeah. I ran last time for the legislature. I lost by, if you heard, we had 3 recounts last year. I was one of those 3 recounts. I lost by 100 votes. So we're going to try again next year. I campaigned on a platform. I was A+ rated by NORML. I'm continuing my support and advocacy for NORML. This year, I've been working with the legislators who are typically not so pro-weed. I'm trying to get them more on board. And so one of the legislators who's typically anti-cannabis, I'm working with him on that bill I mentioned earlier to go help expand cannabis rights for those 18 to 21. I'm also working with the Freedom Caucus to try and get them more on board with stuff, figuring out what their concerns are, because they're not anti-weed. They're just anti-big government and bad legislation. So if we get the big government out of it and get good legislation written, I know for a fact that we could get a lot of yeses on legislation that we would have never thought we could get before. So my goal for this next year as a candidate and as an advocate for cannabis consumer policy is going to be working with my side of the aisle, the Republican side of the aisle, to get them to support some of the legislation that we're pushing, to understand that the dispensaries who did bring me in for a little lobby day and tried to tell me their side of the story as well, make sure they don't run the whole show, because they try to the whole time. They try to say, hey, we're the cannabis advocates, listen to us. And we need to make sure that the legislators are listening to the consumers, not just the dispensaries. So if you're in North Phoenix, I'm north of the Thunderbird Road, south of the 303, between the 51 freeway and 47th, 45th Avenue-ish. I'm in your district. I'll be your candidate. And I hope that if you have any concerns with legislation or you want to reach anyone on the right side of the aisle, please feel free to come for me. My username everywhere is just Ari Bradshaw AZ. You can DM me. I'll respond to you. I'll listen to you. I'll get in touch with you. And I want to make sure that we can actually get some of this stuff passed, because there were so many bills that we didn't get passed for really silly reasons, as Julie knows. One of my proudest moments the past 2 years in this space was I worked with Representative Hernandez, who used to be the minority whip on the Dem side, to kill a big pop bill that would have completely destroyed consumer rights in this industry. We worked, each of our sides of the aisle in order to kill the bill when it was going to originally pass. Very proud of that. We saved our industry a lot of headaches with that killing of a bill. If you guys remember the big pop bill in 2023,